everyone's favourite Baxi boiler. My name's Alan Hart, and today, back at Viva Training Academy, we've got Roy, and Roy's going to go through the front display on the Baxi GA, Baxi Neatotec, Baxi Duotec 2, what else were there, Roy? Is that it? Pro Max Ultra. So all the ones that's got this front display. So Roy's going to go through this front display for you. Yeah, without further ado, let's go over to Roy.
Hi guys, it's Roy Fugle at the Viva Training Academy over in Halifax, and today we're in the boiler studio and we're going to be having a look at the Baxi Duotec 2 and the buttons, what the buttons do, how you adjust the buttons. The Duotec 2's out of the GA range, so it's the same as the Neatotec. The Baxi 100's the same, and the Potterton Pro Max Ultra range, so they're all the same buttons, same functionalities. So just to start off with, I've removed the little front cover because that normally sits up, and obviously it's a little bit more difficult for you guys to see, so we've just popped that off temporarily. So we're going to start off with all the buttons and what they do, how you get into different functions, different features, and then we'll go through one or two things that you might need to know if you're out there doing service work. Right, so some of the buttons are self-explanatory. Obviously radiator temperature up, so if we push that one, at the moment this one's set to 70, and if we carry on pushing it we can go up to, there we go, up to 80 as a maximum. The minimum is down at 25. So then we've got hot water, so hot water, your maximum is 60 and your minimum is 35. The one in the middle, heating and hot water together, hot water only, so a summer setting. So always be careful, if you get called out to one, no central heating. Before you start looking at controls and wiring, just make sure the two icons are on there, because if somebody's pushed that, what will happen is they could have turned the central heating off. So if we've got no radiator symbol, there's no central heating. The other one is the radiator on its own, no hot water. So that's very, very simple. It can happen with customers, they'll push those buttons. So what we're looking for ordinarily is both icons on. So the one on the right hand side is on, off and reset. So if we get an error code, we'd reset it. And the IP button is information and parameters, and we'll look at that a little bit more in detail as we go through. So the first thing that we might want to do is do a de-aeration. Obviously these boilers are a few years old now, but you may have changed the water carrying component. Before we fire any boiler up, we want to make sure that we get rid of all the air. So it's quite a simple thing. It's a 2-button push. So we use the IP button and the radiator minus button together, and we hold them in and we push in for 6 seconds. After 6 seconds, it should come up 312, so it comes up on 312, and that's de-aeration. So that's in de-aeration mode. Now that mode will last approximately 8 minutes. If during that time we've got rid of all the air, so 2 or 3 minutes later we can hear it stop gurgling and burbling, we've got rid of all the air out the system, all we need to do is push the same 2 buttons again for 6 seconds, and it'll go back to front screen. So we've done a de-aeration on that. So that's now got rid of de-aeration. The next function that we'll probably want to do is a combustion test, so chimney sweep. Now on the GA range we test them at high, intermediate and low. So to put it into chimney sweep mode, it's the IP button and the radiator plus. All this information is in the instructions, so always refer to your manufacturer's instructions. Whenever you're looking at parameters and pushing buttons, always make sure that you're doing the right buttons. So there we push the 2 buttons, 6 seconds, it said on, and then it come up 304. And it's alternating between 304, 100, so that means it's on maximum, and the flame symbols come on. So that's going to ramp up to maximum, so it's at that point we do a flue integrity test, because on a service I always check the incoming air to make sure the boiler's breathing nice clean air, and then we transfer over to do the flue gas analysis. Once we're happy that the maximum's okay, we can then go down and check the intermediate. So all we do, push the radiator minus button. So then it's come up 33, that's a parameter. So on different outputs, this particular boiler is a 20, I'll just put my specs on. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. So this one's a 28, so that's 33. On the different outputs, so a 24, a 33 or a 40, it could be a different figure on there. So that tells me I'm on my intermediate. Again, I can go in there and I can do my flue gas analysis. So the next thing I want to check it on minimum, so I push the same button and get it down onto 00. So that's on minimum. Wait for it to modulate down, do my flue gas analysis on that. So once I'm happy that my flue gas is okay, now on a GA, we don't adjust the gas valve, it's done electronically. So what we need to do is when we're in there, if we push the IP button, so the IP button now, the flame is flashing and we've got 304 and 00. Now that 00 is a default setting. So that means it's set at default. If we wanted to an adjustment, like we would on its older brother, the ordinary Duotec, where we'd be using an Allen key, what we do on this one, we use the plus and minus buttons. So we can go down 3 steps or up 3 steps. So again, we'd have the analyzer in there and we're checking the reading. And on a GA, we're looking for 9 across the range. So low, medium and high, or low, intermediary and high, it's all 9. Plus or minus 0.4. I'd need to double check that. So if I want to increase it, I'm just going to push the little plus button. So I've gone up there, 0.01. So that's the equivalent, a quarter of a turn with an Allen key. So I'm just fine tuning that. And I can only go up a maximum of 3 pushes. So if I push it anymore, it won't go up. So it's not like using an Allen key where you can overdo it. But I'm going to bring it back down to the default setting. So then I hit the IP button to come out of the adjustment so the flame symbol stops flashing. So if I take that back to intermediate, what will happen, push the IP button, and again we've got the default 00. So again I can go down 3 pushes, so I've got -1, -2, -3, and then fetching it back up, and I can go up as high as +3. So I've got 6 points of adjustment to fine tune it. And again, to bring it out, we do that. Once we're happy that the flue gas analysis is okay, we can hit the IP and the radiator plus button, and that way we'll take it out of chimney sweep function. So that's now gone back to front screen. So the information button, we can look at various bits of information. So if we push it once, we get 00, I00, and then we've got 3 zeros. Now that only comes in if we've got an error code. The error codes have got subcodes. So in the installation instructions, we've got an error code and then we've got a subcode which will give you more information and point you in the right direction. So if we had an error code on there, that would give us a subcode and it's giving us more detailed information. Push the button again. So we've got IO1. So IO1's telling me my flow temperature, so 46.7 degrees. IO2 would be an outdoor temperature sensor. So at the moment, this boiler doesn't have an outdoor sensor. Some modern boilers now, we're putting outdoor sensors on for weather compensation to comply with Boiler Plus. So you may come across some of these boilers that have been upgraded and they may have outdoor sensors on. So you would actually have the temperature the outdoor sensor was picking up. I3 is my hot water temperature, so 37.8. Likewise, I4 is the water temperature. Don't ask me why they have the two. I asked the question a good few years ago, never got a right answer. Somebody once told me it was to do with, on the system boiler, one is for a tank sensor and one is for the hot water thermistor. I don't know. I5 is the water pressure. There is a pressure gauge underneath on the bottom right hand side, but we can check the pressure electronically. I6 is the return temperature. So if I was doing a flow and return differential, I can check my return temperature. I7 is my flue temperature. So I've got 43 degrees in the flue. And then I8 is my heat exchanger temperature, but it's not coming up with any figures in there. Push him again. I9. These figures there's nothing in there. They use this electronic circuit board on different boilers. It's a Batelli board, so that information may mean something to Batelli. It's not in the engineer manual, it's not in the instruction book what those figures are, so we're not really interested in them. To come out of that, we just hit the R button. Something that you may be interested in is having a look at any error histories. When we go out to a boiler, it's great if we've gone to do a service to find out if we've got any error histories. So how we do that, we use the radiator minus and radiator plus buttons, and we push it in and hold it in 6 seconds. That's going to take us into the parameters. So we've got parameter 1. We need to scroll up to parameter 32. So we do that by using the plus button. So when we get up to about 31, the next push we do will come up C00, and then it's going to scroll through some information. So C00 was an E117, so an E117 is a pressure sensor. It's telling us we've got a pressure sensor issue. And then the O1, as it scrolls through, the O1 means it's happened once, the 3 zeros means it was no days ago. So that was today. We've been doing some work on the rig today, and we've obviously dropped the pressure, and then we've put a little bit too much pressure in. So that was the last error. So the next thing that it's going to come up is 00 and then F00. So it's the status the boiler was in and the sub-status. Well, the boiler wasn't doing anything. It was just sat on the rig powered up. So we've got no status, no sub-status. So if we hit the plus button again, that'll take us to C01. So now we've got another error code coming up. So we've got an E73. So E073, that's an ignition combustion issue. So again, we wait for it to scroll through. So that's happened 18 times, and it's saying 1 day ago. So when we were trying to light these boilers up when we were commissioning them, it must have had a bit of a dicky-do. And then again, it's coming up with the status and sub-status. And then we've got a temperature of 57 degrees. So it's scrolling through different parameters. So if we carry on up through again, we've got an E321. E321's to do with electrical power, and it's scrolling through. So this boiler's been used before. So that's telling us it's a good few days ago when we were wiring up. So if we carry on and we go through to C07, the next one, that's your lockout codes. So the previous ones, C00 to C07, they're your blocking codes. They're the ones that once it gets the right information, it'll carry on working. Once we get to C08, these are lockouts. So an E133, that's an ignition failure. So it's either failed to light, failed to see flame. One of the things that we're planning to do is go through error codes, what causes the error code, what to look for, how to identify that. So we're going to go through those type of codes. So I'm going to try it again. So now, the latest one on there, with no other error code. So it's just telling us it had no other lockout error code. So to come out of that, we just hit the R button. That takes us back to front screen. Right. That's just been a look at the various buttons and different parameters on there. There are other parameters that you can go into. This video has been more aimed at the less experienced fault finders out there, the guys that are coming into the industry where they might be the first time they've ever seen one. We are going to do some more in-depth videos a bit later on. There's buttons where you can change it from natural gas to LPG or from LPG to natural gas. That was one of the developments with the GA. It was gas adaptive. You can also look at combustion in single steps. We don't tend to use it much in the UK, but we can go through that in case somebody pushes the wrong buttons. So that's been it from me, Roy Fugel, over at Viva Training Academy over in Halifax. So if you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. Any comments you've got, please feel free to let us know. If there's any videos you'd like us to do in the future, please let us know. We're open to suggestions. We've now got the boiler studio, not quite where we want it to be, but it's up and running, so we can do a few more live boilers in there. where we can show you hints and tips and things like that. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time, it's been Roy Fugler of the Viva Training Academy over in Halifax. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much for that, Roy, and once again thank you to Viva Training Academy. And if you want to see more of these videos, please put some comments below. Let us know what type of videos you want us to do. We've got the boiler studio almost finished now, so we can do whatever we need to do now. We've got the full training centre downstairs. We've got part of training centre upstairs here. We've got the renewable centre upstairs now as well. So we've got all the air source heat pumps. Yeah, we've got lots and lots of things here now. So if you've got any questions, please put comments below. Let us know what type of videos you'd like us to do. And me, Viva, Roy, and the rest of the team will try and do what we can to help and support you. Thanks for watching.